So are we going to make height and weight? We'll have to wait and see. The rules have been changed last minute. And it's only taken place because of social media. We shouldn't be in this situation. We were not the people measuring.
What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video, and we've got Neil Hill, the coach of Mike Sommerfeld, speaking out. Doesn't seem too happy about the sudden rule change from the IFBB Pro League. Talks a little bit about that. We've got a whole chunk of an interview to go through here. Shout out to this guy here, found his IG page. Great interview that's up on his YouTube channel. The link to the full interview is in the description below, but I've picked out the juiciest bits. I'm going to be reacting to those. And really, this does show that things are up in the air for the 2025 Classic Physique Olympia. So without any further ado, let's get into that interview and react to it.
How does the new measuring could affect your athletes on Classic Physique?
Well, that's a great question. So, when I say this is a sensitive conversation or subject, or it is and it isn't. A whole year. So you just said that those athletes have been preparing it for how long? A year. And what are they preparing for? Height and weight. Yeah. Correct? Height and weight. Okay, so what did we do? We spent about 2.5 to 3 months measuring and stretching out, measuring and stretching out, measuring and stretching out, measuring to make the height and the weight category. Yes? Yeah. All right, we spent months and months, not just with weight, but with height. We stepped on scales and we stepped on the measuring stick last year's Olympia. Did we have any control over that? No. Are you sure? Did we have any control over that? Were we measuring?
No.
No. That measuring stick comes down. Where did it go? Yeah. On the top of the athlete's head, correct? Did we ask for that?
No.
No, but that's what it was, yes?
Yeah.
Did anybody have anyone have anything under their feet?
No, I don't think so.
Did anyone have anything on top of their hair?
I don't think so. So
my point is that we were told at last year's Olympia that once you are heighted, that's your fixed height.
That's okay.
So we did nothing. So we never did anything all year or since the last show to prep for this.
So Neil Hill makes a great point here. So from what they knew, their height from last year's Olympia was going to be the height for the entire career. Now, I've heard things thrown around that because people heighted and weighted in at the Arnold Classic, then that was enough. Your height was set from the Arnold Classic. Your height was either set from there or the Olympia. I did hear it was going to be the average of the 3 next shows the athletes did. I know Tyler Mannion and the IFBB Pro League set that out previously, but there's been maybe a lack of transparency around all of that, and people saying, oh, when I did this big show, that was enough, and that was my height continuously. So I don't know what the deal was exactly with that. Did they go through with the average of the best 3? But Neil mentioned how they were stretching out, weighing themselves, stretching out, weighing themselves, stretching out. So they were really trying, maybe using inversion tables, maybe just being stretched out, maybe being, I know, some sort of massage treatment or whatever. He was trying to peak height-wise for last year's Olympia by the sounds of it, or maybe it was the Arnold Classic. But now it seems like under a week out, they've got a surprise in their hands, and he has to try to make height and weight for this year's Classic Physique Olympia. And his weight is 212 pounds. Anyway, let's get back to it.
So are we going to make height and weight? We'll have to wait and see. Now, do I really have an issue? No, I don't have an issue because, listen, I feel it's important that there's transparency. But you can't go and change the rules, and you can't go around changing things which was said very clearly 12 months ago.
He makes a great point. And if I was Neil Hill, if I was Mike Sommerfeld's sort of been painted as the bad guy in this situation. And I get why. Brazilian fans are going to go after him. There's going to be 1 million dinosaurs posted, all that sort of stuff. Completely get it. But in reality, it's the person who hid it in Mike Sommerfeld, and now he's almost been set at a disadvantage going into this Olympia. And what does it do to the titles previously? The one, from the Arnold Classic, the Mike Sommerfeld one, where there's considerable money on the line. Has he gotten an advantage at that show? Because I believe Logan Franklin, who's considered a less muscular guy of the division, somewhat, at least for his height, he, I believe, was at the cap, which is hard to believe when you've got Mike Sommerfeld, 800 grams under that he weighed in at, which Neil Hill did say on video here.
Put fluid back into him,
put food back into him, brought his weight back up, and when he left his Airbnb apartment, he was exactly 211.4. So he was 211.2. I remember 800 grams under the weight limit, and then we just basically just sipped on water for the next hour. He's just stepped off the scales with all his clothes on.
And then you got Logan Franklin at the cap or very close to it, looking less muscular overall, which is really a factor, and it becomes like a bit of a blight on the division. Imagine if Mike Sommerfeld had actually beaten Chris Bumstead last year at the Classic Physique Olympia. That would have been a whole issue, and we don't want any sort of, I suppose, lack of transparency or the wrong person winning the title just because they were measured incorrectly. So that transparency is going to be for all to see. It's going to be on the YouTube channel. I'm going to do a live watch along for that because there's a real potential, as Neil Hill said, of Mike Sommerfeld being banned and not being able to take his place in the 2025 Classic Physique Olympia, and he's the favorite. So this is huge news.
I'm passionate because we spent 6 months prepping for the show, 6 months to make weight. Not six, and then, and the thing is, why did they change the rules? They changed the rules because of all the negativity on social media. Why is social media negativity listened to? Because it gets views and it gets hype and it gets negative criticism. Yeah. So I'm disappointed, but let's focus on what we can do in that time frame.
Neil's 100% right. Social media was the reason that this is all being, I suppose, re-looked into or being looked into in the first place because of the overwhelming publicity that's been brought to it by, firstly, the fans talking about it, being sent to YouTubers like even Bodybuilding, who did an amazing job, a ton of videos on this, and a bunch of other YouTube channels then talking about it. And then, all the Instagram pages sharing it, posting it, putting memes up of Mike Sommerfeld with afros, all these other photos, people saying that they took photos with Mike Sommerfeld and they're shorter than 5'9" and, they're taller than him. So it does create a bit of a blight on the classic physique division as a whole, which we don't like to see because it is a phenomenal division and breeds phenomenal athletes as well. But anyway, let's listen on.
When we stepped on stage at the official height and weigh-in, we were exactly where we needed to be. We had nothing under our feet. We had nothing on top of our hair. We got no way of manipulating anything. All right, nothing. But what we did have is we had weeks and weeks and months and months and months of prepare. And now the Pro League have decided to change what they set out and what they said 12 months ago. Now, I know why they've done that, because they're obviously trying to be thoughtful, to not have criticism, which is something I have a huge amount of respect for. So I don't have a problem with that. But what we've been done, now we've indirectly been penalized, and other athletes potentially may be penalized. Maybe. And at the end of the day, we never made the criterias, we never made the statement. They made it, but listen, they made it in a positive, professional way. Sure. They didn't say it in a negative way. They've done nothing wrong. But at the end of the day, once you set a criteria and you make a statement or something, then that to me is what it's supposed to be. How can you justify changing something last minute? A week before, seriously. You'd imagine, for instance, that you had athletes, they hit the height, they hit the weight criteria, and then they say, okay, from now on, we're not going to be heighting you, we're not going to be weighting you. And then they decide 6 days before, oh, now we're actually going to weight you, and we're also going to height you, even though we told you 12 months ago that's not going to take place anymore. How many athletes will be over the weight?
Maybe a lot.
Maybe a lot. So, I think it's
they will be forbidden to compete, maybe?
Yes, yeah, so.
That's a crazy thing. A lot of athletes could be over that, over the height they intended to be, or over the height that they have recorded. And this is going to be filmed. People are going to be super critical. If that thing is not pushed down onto people's heads and pushed the hair down, if it's just sitting on top of the hair and you get an extra centimeter or two, because to put yourself into the next, weight category, or next height and weight category, that can give you an extra 8 pounds. And 8 pounds on a physique is a huge amount, or nearly 4 kilos, people doing it in the other scale. And that can be the difference, and most likely would be the difference between someone winning and not winning the Classic Physique Olympia. Now, Ramon Dino apparently is under that weight limit and he has his height checked and he's well above the height and he's under that weight limit already. So he seems to be in the clear, which is going to, you know, sort of advantage to those guys now. But yeah, it's going to be interesting if a lot of guys, like imagine if 10 of the, 60 odd guys in the Classic Physique Olympia, I'm guessing, what happens if 10 of them are knocked out? What happens if it's 15? What happens if it's 20? Does that mean they don't get their trip paid for to the Olympia? What actually happens there? I'm very, very intrigued because, yeah, these guys won't be happy because as far as they knew, that was the height of their career. And now that's all changed at this Olympia. And I don't know what it will be going forward after that as well. Will it go from, okay, from now we're going to measure your height and that will be a height for the career? Or does it get measured every contest and we have the possibility of guys and girls missing the 212 weight cap or missing the Classic Physique cutoff weight because they're heighted in every single show, and height can vary a little bit. Anyway.
But it's not even my argument. My conversation in a positive way is the rules have been changed last minute. And it's only taken place because of social media. Mm-hmm. Because if this is the way that we're moving forward in the industry, I don't say this
Who
because
set the rules? Social media or the IFBB?
Exactly, yeah. So who's making the rules here? Mm-hmm. So, you know, and that's for everything in life. So if you really want to get caught up in this, well, let's go back to see all the drama over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years where there's been negative conversation, right? And let's bring up all of that. Let's, from today onwards, every time we see a negative comment, let's make sure that we micromanage every single thing. All right? I've heard, doesn't matter who I've heard it from, I've heard there's been athletes who have not made height and weight, not the height weight. Have I ever complained? Not one single time, because I tell you why, we focus on what we need to do.
That's interesting as well, because C-Bum said something in his latest video. Here's what he said, which sort of suggests that this might have happened a few times, but they've sort of always gotten away with it.
Classic.
It's a tough one. It depends who's going to make weight. This is the real question.
That's the talk of the town right now.
I can't believe I didn't even hear about that. I just got on the plane and they're like, "Did you hear Mike didn't make weight?" I was like, "What?" Or is he going to? Whatever, all the drama.
Yeah, I mean, who even knows? Like, you know, that's just
this kind of shit happens every year.
Speculation.
It happened with Brian. It happened with me.
Yeah.
So there it is from C-Bum himself. But anyway, let's listen on, because it does suggest that this sort of stuff tends to maybe happen, or at least has happened before.
I focus on what we are doing. We don't make the rules up.
Yep.
But to change everything last minute, I think that is very, very, very wrong. But I also stand by and respect the IFBB Pro League because they're trying to make sure that there's transparency, and there always has been transparency.
Yeah.
Last year, there was complete transparency.
Everybody knew the rules.
Did you see one single athlete after weigh-ins last year? Let me ask you this. Did you hear of any athlete after weigh-ins complain about somebody making height or weight? I didn't hear one athlete.
No.
Not one athlete.
I feel like that sort of flies in the face of what Neil just said. It sounds like it's happened before, but then also it hasn't happened before. Not one athlete last year. So I'm confused if this stuff happens or doesn't happen, because I feel like Neil is wanting to say all this stuff, but maybe knows he shouldn't say certain things because obviously he has athletes competing in the 2025 Olympia. Anyway, let's move on.
Where's all this coming from? It comes from the fans. Yeah. Why does it come from the fans? Because fans only care about their athlete winning. So any drama they're going to bring to it. Because for me, I feel that we have really, really, really been put into a situation that we shouldn't even be dealing with. We shouldn't be in this situation. We were not the people measuring. We were not the people that. And again, I'm not criticizing the IFBB Pro League. They do a fucking amazing job. So let's wait and see. Whether Mike competes on the stage, we'll have to wait and see. We're doing everything. We're doing all the therapy that we can between now and tomorrow. But this is a process which we should have been dealing with months and months ago, or weeks ago. Because how long has conversation been on social media? This guy's too tall. This guy's too short. This guy's months ago. So why are we dealing with this now?
worrying me that some guys are going to be going to dangerous levels to go, oh my God, I need to get another 8 pounds off, or I need to get another 6 pounds off, or I need to do this. And they're going to panic, and we're not going to see the best athletes on stage. And it just is not a good thing for anyone, unless you're a guy like Terrence Ruffin, who by all accounts, I think he makes the weight limit pretty handily. And then also guys like Logan Franklin, who is pretty confident. I think he's in his right height category. So some guys are going to advantage from this. Even Ramon Dino, like I said as well, he's apparently already at the weight and the height that he needs to be at. So some guys are going to advantage, and guys like Mike Sommerfeld and other guys that are really pushing that weight limit and they're on the edge of the height range, they're going to be stressing right now. So it creates a very interesting Classic Physique Olympia. And make sure that you tune in, subscribe to Desktop Bodybuilding for all my 2025 Olympia coverage. I'm going to have videos coming at you guys thick and fast, and I'm going to be going live as well. So click that notification bell button for when I put up videos and go live, and you'll be notified all weekend. Anyway, guys, that's it for this one. Make sure you tune in for the height and weight in tomorrow or today, depending when you listen to this one. My name's David Wills. This is Desktop Bodybuilding. We are out.
This guy says I'm too tight. Hang on a second here now. Hang on. Bob is tight after getting playfully digged by Sean. Loosen up that back hole, Sean. Start taking as much as you give. That's me and Sean. Okay, listen, he's been digging at me for 40 years that he beat me at the teen nationals, which I still think was rigged. But, you know, listen, bro, loosen up that back hole, Bob. I'm as loose as they come.